Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. This is a video that I have been trying to get done for quite some time, but the weather here has been quite bad for the last few weeks at least. It's been raining non-stop and quite heavily too. Prior to that it was an amazingly hot heat wave. So the weather's a bit mixed, but recently it's been quite bad, which has stopped me getting out to do this video, and I didn't want to make it in the workshop. I just wanted a little bit of time outside. So it happens today that we've got a little period of time where it's not raining, and I've nipped out to show you some new things that I've got sorted out with the Woodsman. Actually, there's a few things that I want to cover, but the first thing is the locking mechanism. Actually, scratch that. We'll go back to the shipping of knives out with the UK first. So as you know, I've mentioned on Easygoing Outdoors channel that shipping became a problem after Royal Mail lost 2 knives that I shipped out in December. That turned into an absolute fiasco, and I started looking for other shipping companies to move things out with the country that would also give insurance of a level that would actually cover the knife. I tried with DHL, I had no luck whatsoever. They absolutely will not ship a knife. You need a verified account, and apparently they're not giving them out just now, and so that was out the window. However, FedEx and UPS will ship knives, but they won't let me ship them. I'm now having to speak to my customers overseas, and they will then order a pickup, and FedEx or UPS are quite happy to come and pick the knife up where they won't let me ship it. So that's going to be how things proceed from now on with international shipping of the orders of the knives. However, that period took about 5 months to solve that issue, and it was a stressful time. A lot of people in contact, a lot of people unhappy about the time frame on their knives, which is understandable, but it was out with my hands and I couldn't do anything about it. I've got that solved now, and a lot of the knives are now finished, which you will see. I've taken a video of the knives hanging up in the workshop. They just need shipped now, but I wanted to get a group shot of them with a few other bits and pieces to show that they're finished. I'll just drop that. So in the meantime, when things weren't moving forward, my brain was going at 200 miles an hour trying to solve that problem amongst other ones, and one of the ones that was like ticking away in the back of my mind was the Woodsman and the sheath for the Woodsman. After Jim in bushcraft Costa Rica had the issue when his bag swung and disengaged the lock and the knife came out the sheath. Sorry, I've got somebody just walking up in the woods there with their dog. Yeah, they're away now. After the sheath, the lock disengaged from the sheath and the knife came out, obviously that wasn't a good situation at all. You don't want one of these falling out and trying to catch it. I tried that and it took the end of my finger off. I decided that that wasn't something I want my customers to experience, so I came up with a locking mechanism which seemed to solve the issue, but then as things tend to happen, you can't account for what other people are going to do, and Jim, carrying the bag, the strap or the jacket or whatever, caught the lock and the knife came flying out. So we solved that on Jim's knife, which is in Costa Rica, so I couldn't get it. We had to come up with a new design of the lock that he could actually implement himself, which we've done, and he's very happy. However, ongoing from there, I decided that I needed to upgrade the lock in a way that I was happy with here. And the way I came up with was that I changed this part of the lock here and increased the retention. And I also beefed up the actual locking mechanism from a 2mm Kydex to a 3mm Kydex, making it stiffer. And that seemed to solve the issue. That said, it was still only one lock, and I was still concerned that people walking in, there was the potential issue of, again, something unforeseen happening and that lock disengaging, and it was constantly annoying me. In the back of my head, that is, not just in the foreground because I was too busy with things, but in the back of my mind I was working on this. And I decided to put a secondary lock on. And I came up with numerous designs as I was going through this, but the simplest one, as it turns out, is to put a lock here in my, well, this is what I've done anyway. So I put a lock on the other side. Now this works, and it makes it very safe for a number of reasons. One, there's now 2 locks on the knife, on the sheath itself. But the other thing is that to disengage this lock, you have to move it that way, out with the sheath. And to disengage this lock, you have to move it the opposite direction. So to disengage both locks is very, very difficult. I'm not going to say it can't happen, because people have a habit and situations have a habit of cropping up. So I'll say it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to disengage both locks at the same time and also overcome the increased retention of the sheath to let the knife fall out. So I'll show you the way this works now. I'm just going to move the camera and put you up there so you get higher up. So this is my preferred carry method for the Woodsman. This lock here, you now lift and press, and it opens, it comes out of the 8mm hole and just sits on the side of the sheath. At that point there, you're now hanging, in fact I'll just do this. If I put that back and tug, it's not coming out. If I disengage this one and tug, it's not coming out. You have to disengage that one to draw the knife. To resheath the knife with the Woodsman, there's a little bit of a technique, because you've now got the pin that goes right through the sheath. If you try and put your knife straight in like that, you're going to impact your cutting edge on that metal pin. So the way you have to do it is you have to put it in at an angle and separate the leaves of the sheath so the pin is on one side of the knife, and then slide it up and in. That will then engage. You then just pull that forward and it slides in as well. That's it, fully locked. 2 locks, extra retention, very unlikely to come out. This one is designed so that if you're walking into camp, you're carrying your knife here, you've not got it in a pack, you've got it here, it can't possibly come out. Even if you fall and roll down a hill, I would say it's going to be nigh on impossible for that to come out. When you get to camp and you may be using your knife more often or more regularly, you can disengage that and leave it off. You've still got it on here, so it shouldn't come out. If you want to have peace of mind, just pull that forward so it's in. It doesn't take very much to just disengage both. 2 hands, 1 hand, whatever you want to do it. But that's the solution I've come up with, and I'm very happy. My mind is now at peace that this is the best model of Woodsman yet. It's a complete unit now, and I'm very, very happy with it. So while people may not have been very happy about the time frame that it's taken to get knives, as I said, that has been out and with my control due to the shipping. Shift that camera again. I have developed this now to the point where I think it can't get any better as far as the sheath and the locking mechanisms go, and that is now on all of the knives that people have been waiting on are now upgraded to this version now. So had you got your knife originally when it would have shipped out, it wouldn't have had any of that. It would have been as it was originally. So that's the first thing. I'm going to move on to an issue that 1 or 2 of the customers have actually mentioned to me now, and that is with the saw. So this is a unique saw developed and designed by myself. Now, my history is that I'm a joiner. I've been working with saws since I left school, and I've got a bit of experience using them, let's say. And certainly historically, there used to be 2 main types of saw used by joiners, and that is a rip saw and a crosscut saw. The rip saw has actually pretty much faded out from use unless it's very specialist work. And most of the saws that you get these days are either universal or crosscut. They're just designed to work most effectively cutting across the grain. And if you don't know what that means, I'll show you with this log, or this piece of wood here. As you can see here, you've got lines running up the wood. Okay, that's the direction of the grain. Now, most saws are designed to cut directly across this way. And as you've seen with most saws, they've got very pointy, jagged teeth. In fact, I'll just show you on this one. Oyakata here. So this is a cross-cut saw. It's not a typical one, it's a Japanese one, so it's got like multifaceted teeth, but it's designed with those pointy teeth to sever across the grain very, very efficiently. However, when it comes to running down the grain, it's not quite as efficient because you've got very thin blades there, and what they do, they tend to slide between the fibres and try and rip it out rather than cut it. So they're very efficient across the grain, not so efficient down the grain. I wanted a saw that could be used for both directions and be pretty efficient in both. And so I designed the teeth of the Woodsman to that effect. Now, these are very large, and the reason for that was that I figured people weren't going to be cutting small pieces of wood. You were maybe going to be notching, you maybe wanted to do it quickly, and it was going to be reasonable chunks of timber, not anything round about the 1/2 inch or 15 mil, 20 mil. You're going to be cutting maybe bigger things to build your shelters, like I've got going on here, maybe taking notches out of that. And so I made the teeth very large and aggressive. But what that means is that if you're cutting something narrow, then the teeth sit over the edge. Oh, can I catch that? Can you see that? The teeth sit over a corner. And what that would mean is it would stick at every single tooth going over that. And this is what some people have been experiencing. So to address that, there's a rule that you learn when you're an apprentice using saws, and that is that there should really, ideally, there should be between 2 and 3 teeth in the thickness of the timber or the material that you're cutting. Now, if I show this here, you've not got 2, try to get it on camera. There are not 2 teeth within that material, there's 1. And that means that this is too thin for that to cut efficiently across that direction. However, if you turn it that way, you've got a lot of teeth resting in the thickness. So you can start there and it will cut. However, they are aggressive teeth, and you have to hold it up to allow it to start cutting the channel first. If you do that and allow it to bed in, you will get a very efficient cut. If you try and force it, then these teeth are like a series of chisels, a series of blades. And for anyone that's actually done any carving, you know yourself, when you're pushing a single blade through, it can create a bit of resistance. When you've got a whole series of blades that you're trying to shove through by hand, it can create a lot of resistance if you put a lot of force into it. So you have to kind of let the saw work for itself. Now I'll give you an example of the 2 teeth with the Oyakata that I've got there. So this one here, if I put it there, you can see there's about 5 teeth across that, across the width there. But even if I turn that at 45 degrees, you can see that even this one is sticking. It traps, it jams on the teeth. And the only way to get through it is to pull hard to drive the teeth through, or alter the angle slightly so that it's drawing. So that's why saws stick. And once you've started that, you can see that with no effort, I'm only holding it like this, in free air, it will saw. But to start with, it sticks. And if that's with little fine teeth like this, you can understand that with the Woodsman, it's a little bit more exaggerated because of the style of teeth. But again, if I can do this in free air, maybe not a good example, but even holding that in the air, you can see it's cutting a channel. Rested and supported and used properly, it will cut. Now, I'm hoping I've explained that fairly clearly. If I haven't, and you need to see another video where I actually saw with this as a demonstration of the saw, then I'll do that. But this was just a quick cover of the potential issues that you may have using this saw if you've not used it previously. So, now into something exciting. Another thing that I've been doing in the interim period, whilst waiting to get this, or trying to get the shipping sorted out, is that I've been working on a little bit refinements for my products, for my knives. And what I've come up with is, well, dog tags. Now, just this seems to fit with my mentality and the way I think about things, and the way I see Origin knives being sort of hard use, sort of military style knives. I feel that a dog tag rather than a paper certificate sort of fits with that better. So these are stainless steel tags, and when you get a knife from me now, there will be a little icon of the knife that you've bought on there. This is obviously the STV for those of you who know my products. Try to get a good picture on that. And then on the reverse side, you have your model, you have the materials it's made from, you've got its serial number and the date I finished making it on there. Here we've got the knives that I've got completed, hanging up, a parang, front lines, Woodsman, STVs, and a wee ray on the end. They've all got their tags on. So yeah, I'm particularly happy with these. All we need now is to get them shipped. With the tracker style models, you get multiple dog tags, and I'll explain those just now. But with any knife, you'll get an ID tag for your knife, and you'll also get a tag of my company, Origin, with a wee thing on the back. This is just for your key rings or your keys. But with the tracker models in particular, you're going to get an extra two, if I can catch that out. So you've got the lights pad, there we go, Plan. Now this is a mnemonic. Because the tracker knives are more of a survival knife in my opinion, even down to the Scout, then I'm adding these into the mix. So you've got this Plan. It's a mnemonic, and on the back side of that you've got an explanation, or you've got a list of words that the initials create this word here, Plan. You've then got a second one here, and these only come with the trackers. Now they would require more of an explanation unless you've been in the military and you understand these things. Even those have been modified, or at least one of them has, then you won't understand what those are. However, Alec from Easygoing Outdoors, him and I have been working together, as you're aware. He's been testing my knives, and we've been developing them to make them better products, really. He's writing a book on the use of the tracker. Now, it's still in its development stages. It's been proofread just now, and once it's complete, he's gonna, as far as I'm aware, he's gonna try and get it published as an ebook and also as a paper copy. So I'm sure that He'll no doubt tell you about it on his channel once he's got that up and running. And as far as I'm aware, there are going to be a series of instructional videos that you'll get access to once you've purchased the book as well. As to price, I've no idea. You'll have to keep an eye on Ego's channel if you're interested in owning that book. Going back to the dog tags. The mnemonic is made up of a series of individual words. But each of those, although those words explain an action that you should be taking, those are also, if you like, subheadings, or section titles, if you like, that would have subheadings underneath and fuller explanations of what you need to do within those sections, if you like. So it's quite a big thing, and I think in Alec's book he explains those to a greater depth than, I feel like Joe Biden. It just stops working halfway through a sentence and I'm just stopping. So he explains them to a greater degree and allows you to explore the subject more fully, both in the book and in the videos. So it's worth getting if you decide that that is where you want to go and you want to be able to use your tracker to its full capability. Right, I'll edit that in and we'll see what sort of a hash this whole video comes to. I've made so many little sections I'm going to have to join together. I don't know how this is going to end up at all, but we'll see. So, yeah, one other thing. So, I've had a couple of customers mention to me that the knives they received were slightly different from the ones that they've seen in the videos. Now, the reason for that is that the ones that have been in the videos up until now have been prototypes. And obviously, as a prototype, it gets developed. You work with it, and one of the areas that changed, if you like, from the prototype to the production model was the swedge. Now, on the prototypes, there's quite heavy swedges on the knives. They look more like false edges, and Alec questioned me on that and said, "Well, why are you taking so much metal out?" I was like, "Well, I'm making a swedge," and he was like, "Yeah, but you don't need to take that much out." And when it came to using the tip to pierce and split kindling, that was a technique I hadn't seen until I'd worked with Alec, and it was a bit of a revelation actually. It makes things so much easier and safer. So obviously it was a technique I warmed to, and I've adapted and put into my sort of arsenal of techniques, if you like. And through working with that, he said to me, you don't need to take as much metal off to create that ability to split. You only need to really knock the corners off at the tip. And so the swedges have been modified now where there's less material taken out, which keeps the tip stronger. And so, yeah, I'm kind of waffling a bit. I'm probably needing a cup of coffee, if I'm honest. But the swedge is now reduced in size, but still it's efficient and it does its job without taking as much metal away from the tip. There it is in a nutshell. It's a better swedge. Now, if you want the look of almost like a false edge on the back, I can grind that in. That is not a problem, but you'll have to ask for that now, rather than assuming you're going to get it if you're watching those videos. As more and more people are getting these knives, there may be more and more footage going up on YouTube or on knife forums where you'll see the new swedges. I don't have one with me. All the knives are in there. All I've got is this, and this has got the original one on it. So, yeah, and I think that is about it. So really, my knives, as I work with my knives, and you know, areas become highlighted as to. There's an incoming call. Didn't put this on aircraft mode. Should I switch it off? Yeah, I'll stop and come back. Hang on. Right. So that call was my wife in the workshop, wondering where I was because she had brought me a cup of tea. Happy days. So I went and got that. Here I am back. So I don't know where I was. Swedge. Yes, oh, knives. So my knives do evolve as I use them and find perhaps better or techniques I haven't seen before, or better ways of using the knife, and I automatically upgrade the model with those improvements. And I've realised now that that might actually be an issue to some people, because they don't get the knife that they've actually pictured. So yeah, I'm sorry about the confusion for some of you, but it was in my efforts to create a better knife and a superior product that those improvements occurred. And I never actually considered the fact that people, or it never entered my mind that people were actually expecting the knife that they were seeing on the video. It makes sense now it's been pointed out, but at the time I just thought, yeah, keep developing it, keep improving it and sending out the better model. But if you have a particular model of knife that you're interested in and a particular set of features on that knife, then if you're choosing to order one, please reference the video or list the features that you're looking for specifically, because if you don't, you'll get the updated model rather than the one that you've potentially seen. And so that's it for out here. I'm going to go and drink my cup of tea, and I'm going to edit in the video of the knives hanging up in the workshop with the tags and bits and pieces, so those that are waiting on can see them. And that's it. So other than that, I hope you all have a great day. I nearly said y'all there. You all have a great day, and I'll catch you again soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Right, that video, during the video there when I did the sawing in the air, it was pretty atrocious. So I thought I'd actually do another video here and just insert it. So I've got a piece of budley here, and I've got the saw. This is, if you measure it by teeth, it's about 45mm wide. So it fits into the category that I was talking about. It's not very long, so bracing it is going to be a little bit more difficult, but if you can hold it solid, I put my thumb in there. Jim uses a pinky lanyard. I'm not a fan of lanyards, so I don't. I'm just going to get the sheath out of the way and hold this down, and initially I'm going to support the knife until it starts chiseling away. Speed it up. I've found that if you go fairly quick, it allows the teeth to chisel, and there you go. Saw through that. So I hope that helps, and let me know in the comments. Cheers guys.